Greetings all on this Tuesday, day of Mars, and I'm going to do a talk on a herb of Mars that is Nettles, and it's quite an interesting setting where I am. I'm going to show you. I'm on the Grand Union Canal in East London, and it's quite busy. There's people everywhere, and there's loads and loads of herbs growing, loads of nettle everywhere in its element. I'll just show you some more. It's cold up. I'm just going to show you some of the nettles growing. And you can see it's beginning to flower. And there's just so much of it that I can't not talk about it. So as I said, it's a herb of Mars, and its signatures are that it has similarities to the planet Mars. You can even see it's kind of red on the stems, and I don't know if I can get in, but then you can see it's sharp and penetrating. I don't know if you can see any of the stings. And its name is stinging nettle, and as Nicholas Culpeper said, even if you can't see it in the dead of night, you can feel it if you tread on it, because its trichomes, its stings will sting you. There are many kinds of nettles. This is stinging nettles, but there are dead nettles, and it's called Urtica dioica, which means that it's dioecious, which means in Latin 2 houses, and that means that it has a male plant and a female plant, and which is staminate and pistillate. And very similar to cannabis, which has that. I know that if people are into growing cannabis, they always want the female plants, and it's associated with the stereotypes of male archetype, like machismo, physical strength, even violence to a degree. And actually, the plant has very clear boundaries. If you touch it, it will hurt you. Urtica uro means to burn in Latin, and it's also very rich in iron, like the planet Mars, and it can be quite fiery if you touch it. Nettle is one of the harbingers of spring, and if you see it growing somewhere, you know that it's very nutritious land and fertile soil, and that fertile soil is imparted in the actual qualities of the plant. It's very high in chlorophyll and minerals, and it's part of a springtime tonic. Why I really like nettles, if people ask me what's one of your favourite plants, it's up there in the top 10, because it's so abundant, and every part of the plant can be used for medicine. The leaves, the seeds, the root, and it's also can be used like hemp. And like I said, it's so abundant, and the reason it has stings is because it's so nutritious that if it didn't have the stings, there'd be none of it left. So it's adapted to being resistant to being picked. And a Welsh herbalist called Dylan Warren Thomas said the other day that thousands of years ago, nettles didn't actually have stings, and it developed them to probably repel dinosaurs, which I thought was quite interesting. It's generally harvested in the spring, and the leafy tops are used for teas and tinctures and mixes for iron deficiency anemia and conditions where people need building up, like convalescence. It's a medicine that's very nice to be used for chronically, and it's quite a balancing herb. It reduces uric acid in the urine, it lowers blood pressure, it helps with rheumatism. It's astringent, it has tannins in it that pucker tissues and stop them bleeding or leaking, and it's used as an anti-allergenic herb for many allergies, for hay fever, for seafood allergies, for allergies to other plants like strawberry allergies, or nettle itself can be used for the sting of nettles. It's used for the itch that occurs with Hodgkin's lymphoma, so it can be used for itching conditions, and the stings themselves contain small amounts of histamine that then sort of teach the immune system how to behave. It's a very nice herb to be taken with raspberry leaf during pregnancy, and it helps to build milk. It helps with internal bleeding in the gastrointestinal tract. So I'm just thinking of the nutrients. It contains many amino acids. I think it contains, about 16 amino acids, and very absorbable colloidal minerals. It also contains flavonoids like rutin. It contains, obviously, lots of chlorophyll. I'll talk about chlorophyll in a bit. And the stings contain serotonin, histamine, and formic acid. And formi is the Latin name for ants, and it's the same chemicals when ants sting you. Spiritually and energetically, it's a plant that signifies boundaries. It's actually planted in villages to protect people from animals that might enter the village and hurt people, because animals don't want to be stung. And often when I pick nettles, it's one of those plants it's quite good to pick further inside, because animals don't tend to want to walk through it. Obviously dogs can pee on the outside of it, but if you walk into a big bush of nettles, the ones in the middle are generally untouched because humans and animals stay away from it. The seeds that come later in the summer are they're like a bit like adaptogenic. They help you deal with stress, and they work on the adrenal glands, and they also are a tonic for the prostate gland. And they contain a substance called 5-alpha reductase, and that enzyme stops the conversion of toxic testosterone, or of non-toxic, testosterone into the toxic one. So it stops the conversion of testosterone into dihydrotestosterone, which is linked to enlarged prostates and increased incidence of prostate cancer. So this herb that's associated with a male archetype is also very beneficial for prostates and testicles and gonads per se. It's very stimulating, the seed, so when people take it at the end of the summer, it can actually give you so much energy that you can't sleep when you take it. I absolutely love picking it from the plant fresh, and it's full of essential fatty acids. The leaves tend not to be picked at the end of the year unless they're the very tops, because they bioaccumulate different chemicals. And even though the plant is actually used for kidney stones, they can build up salts that you don't really want to have at the end of the year. So if you're going to have it sort of at the end of the summer, if you're going to harvest the leaves, it's better just to harvest the baby leaves and not the ones further down the plant. And I tend to harvest baby leaves in the city anyway, because I don't want the plant to bioaccumulate not just chemicals that the plant makes, but environmental chemicals. There are about 40 species of nettles, and some of them are so fierce. There's one that's called Urtica ferox that grows in Aotearoa, and it's so deadly that it can stop breathing. It causes profuse salivation, and I think its things feel like branding irons. So, you know, there are many different types. There's a type of nettle in India, I think it's called Urtica pedusia, but I could be wrong, and it has a huge fat root, and it's used like a potato. And then, as I said before, there are other nettles that are not stinging, and they're called dead nettles, like white archangel, purple dead nettle, pellitory of the wall. I actually did a picture of a spotted henbit on Saturday, and that's a nettle. And then there's another one called gimpy, and the burn lasts for hours to days to months. So you know, they're very, very fierce plants. So the way I would personally use nettles is I use it in a lot of mixes for people with fatigue and depletion because it's so nourishing. It's used in mixes like Floridics and sort of anti-anemia mixes. I know that one of my old teachers, Christopher Headley, used to make a mix with nettles and apricots in wine. It's used for gout, to actually remove crystals. It's used for arthritis. It can be used for urinary tract infections because it promotes urinary flow. It's used as a cooling remedy for red, angry skin conditions, and the skin condition is a signature of the planet Mars. So in this case, nettles works as an antithesis to Mars. It's used for people with low stomach acid, and it's used generically, as I said before, for allergies.